lowest hanging fruit right now. Let's talk about the U.S. Treasury being hacked by Chinese hackers, breach of security, and they're saying that. Well, check out the story.
The Treasury Department says that its computers were hacked by a Chinese threat actor in what the department is calling a major incident. Joining us right now with more on this and with cybersecurity risks in the new year is Teresa Payton. She is Fortalice Solutions CEO. And Teresa, thank you for being with us today. We've got a lot to talk about, but let's start with this latest news about the hack at the Treasury Department. Saying this is a major issue, but then saying that there's no threat that they are still in. They don't think that the hackers are still having access to
How did the Treasury Department get hacked?
You know this better than just about anybody.
It doesn't even make no
what
sense.
Should we read through this? Because I feel like there's a lot we're not getting from the headlines on this story.
Well, I read the letter that they wrote to report to OMB what had happened, and there will be another letter coming in about 30 days. These investigations take time. The one thing that gives me some optimism about this, that it has been contained, is they mentioned that the affected service, which was a third-party service, which gave basically, if you think about it, almost like a master key to a support person, a trusted person. It basically gave that authenticated master key to these bad actors who have been traced back to China. China has denied it. But the thing they've said is they've actually identified the service, taken it offline, and they're doing the proper remediation steps. So hopefully what that means is the threat actor no longer has persistence. But we do know from the letter that they produced to OMB that documents were accessed. What we don't know is what documents, but they did say it was unclassified.
Unclassified documents accessed by Chinese hackers, and they're no longer a threat. How does Chinese hackers get into the U.S. Treasury Department? That just sounds insane to me. And a lot of people always ask me, Anton, what should I go into? Should I go into cybersecurity or should I get a basket weaving degree? With the level of technology and all of the implementation of security threats and infrastructure and AI technology and cloud, there has never been a better time to have that level of security and to know that you will always have a job once you get the level of experience that you're supposed to have. You will always have a job. And not only will you have a job, they are paying a premium for people that know what they're talking about. We're going to get into these H-1B visas shortly. But this is the thing that I'm saying. If they can find the necessary talent and that you actually go through the process, you will forever have a job. They freaking hacking the U.S. Treasury. They're hacking the U.S. Treasury. Talking about unclassified documents. Do you think that I believe that? Do you think that I believe that they will tell me that they got into classified documents and Chinese hackers have some of the information from the U.S. Treasury? You don't think that I would? You think that I believe everything that they telling us and that they releasing to the general public? Yeah, okay.
Right. That's the part that I don't get. These are documents that we shouldn't necessarily care about because they're not classified documents, or this is also a very serious issue if you have a Chinese actor that's gotten access into the Treasury Department.
I think it's very serious because, as we used to say when I worked at the White House for President George W. Bush, small pieces of unclassified information put together a piece of the puzzle that could lead to classified information. And so anything that you steal gives you a sort of, even if it's just an interdepartment memo about new HR policies, that gives sort of patterns of life and inner workings of the operations. It gives names.
You said you want them to hack into Sally Mae,
Vanessa? Sort of the tone and the type of vocabulary that's used, which then could be used in subsequent social engineering attacks that are much more sophisticated, targeted, and really bespoke and custom because you've got sort of this knowledge of the inner workings.
You say
I think that is much more severe than they letting on. I think that they got classified information, unclassified information. To be honest with you, I don't even know what the difference is between classified and unclassified because it's not released to the general public, so it's not like it's available to us. All of it is classified. That's just a fancy way of saying that we don't want you to know the secrets and the inner workings of things that you're not supposed to be a part of and we not supposed to be a part of, but we can't tell you that because then you'll panic and then you'll become more informed and you'll make adjustments, so on and so forth. That's all the difference is between classified and unclassified. If you get your hands on it, you're going to start to become more aware and you're going to start moving a little bit differently. That's what it means.
A Chinese state-sponsored actor hacking the U.S. Treasury Department in what's being called a major cybersecurity breach. The hackers remotely accessing several user workstations and gained access to unclassified documents after compromising a third-party software service provider. That provider, Beyond Trust, informed the department about the hack on December 8th. A Treasury Department spokesperson says the compromised service has now been taken offline. Right now, there's no
Y'all
evidence.
talking about hacking Sally Mae. Forget Sally Mae. Need to go get the IRS. That's what they need to go and get. You know what I'm saying? Forget Sally Mae. Y'all got the wrong. Listen, y'all got to think bigger. Now, I'm not saying that anybody should be hacking anything. Let me be very, very clear. You know what I'm saying? We trying to get to that corporate bag going into 2025. However, what I am saying is, if you're going to target something, you need to target something a little. Don't go. Forget student loans. That's small time. That's small time. We need to get to them 3-letter organizations. Forget Sally Mae. We don't care nothing about Sally Mae. Freddie Mac and Sally Mae. Don't get to, you know what I'm saying? I can't say the letters as free because I don't want no targets on my back. But all I'm saying is, listen, if you're going to go for something, if you're trying to help the Americans, forget spreading wealth. No. Your money's insured. Go to stress. You know what I'm saying? It's not stress. Got to read between the lines.
China still has access to the systems. The FBI and the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency are also now investigating. I want to bring in Fox News contributor, Heritage Foundation Senior Fellow for China Strategy, and author of The 100-Year Marathon, Michael Pillsbury. Michael, I guess I'm becoming a big cynic when it comes to government systems and cybersecurity, but I was not in the least bit surprised that Treasury got hacked yesterday.
Cheryl, you're not alone. I think a lot of us are becoming cynics that the Chinese seem to have access to almost any American secrets they want to get. It obviously is good for them to focus on Treasury Department. Treasury is where the sanctions are. Treasury is where the currency manipulation issue is discussed. So, I mean, in a way, I'm surprised that they didn't hack Treasury even earlier.
Well, Samantha Dravis has a question along those lines for you. She's on set with me. Samantha, go ahead.
Yeah, Michael, I wanted to ask you, clearly it seems we don't have what we need to deter these threats. They're very concerning. And I would like to know, what are your thoughts on CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Agency? You know, there's been a lot of criticism that this is an agency in need of dire reform. There were reports that the agency was weaponized to go after disinformation on social media, and it was really weaponized into an agency that strayed from its true purpose. And so I actually took the time to go to their website and their Twitter. I don't see them posting anything about this. What is their response? And do you have concerns that this agency needs reform?
Yes, you've identified a really important problem, that different parts of our government are alert to the China threat to different degrees. And it's ironic that sometimes the people in charge of a really specific issue seem to be asleep at the switch. The Pentagon seems to be quite active. They put out reports, they conduct exercises, they're building a new generation of weapon systems. So the Pentagon doesn't need guidance on the China
Thank you,
threat.
Stephen Clay.
Someone else who doesn't need guidance is Donald Trump himself. I'm an eyewitness that he went through real friction with most of his government in the first term on trying to get the China trade talks going and get a meaningful deal. A lot of the government just would not help Mr. Trump, and he had to conduct meetings and pretty much micromanage things himself. So I hope the lessons learned for the next term, all these mistakes that happened in the first term that President Trump had to correct. He had to fire some people too, as is well known. And if you're doing research on this, you might enjoy 4 or 5 of the memoirs that have come out. Jared Kushner's memoir, Peter Navarro's, Bob Lighthizer. They go into the friction and how much trouble there was among different units. And finally, President Trump just had to step in again and again and make things happen. I hope that's what's going to happen in the next term.
Well,
I don't understand why everything seems to be happening towards the end of the year, right before Trump takes office. That's the thing that I'm confused about. I don't understand that. It seems like everything is falling apart. All of the worst decisions is being made all in the same month, all within the same 2 months. And it's like, is it me, or does it seem like this transition period from the election in November all the way up to January 20th, that this seems like the longest period in history? It seems like Trump won the election eons ago, like he's already been president for a long time, and that we just waiting for him to actually take the White House. It seems like this is the biggest gap since, because I don't remember in the past of it taking as long or it seeming like this long of a transition between the time that a president won the seat and the time that they actually take office. It just seemed like this is the biggest gap in the world. Like he can't get in there fast enough. Y'all think it's sabotage? I wouldn't put it past it. I wouldn't put it past it at all. I wouldn't put it past that it is absolute. I think that Trump is being sabotaged all across the board. I think that this current administration has literally been throwing Trump under the bus. I was reading about how he was trying to put protections in place from people to still be able to work from home. Why would you do that? Name me an organization where a CEO is transitioning and he's leaving his post because the board has voted him out or the board decided that they wanted to get rid of him. And he's going through a transition period where another CEO is coming in and he decided to sabotage the company on his way out the door. I've never heard that in my entire life. The federal government in politics is the only place where you can get away with that nonsense. The federal government in politics is the only place where you can get away with that nonsense. And then they want to talk about a peaceful transition of power. This ain't peaceful. Ain't nothing been peaceful over the last 2.5 months of this election. Ain't nothing been peaceful this whole time that they've been in office, let alone the last 2 months. It almost seems like they're setting it up to where the next 2 years he'll be undoing and fixing all of the problems that we see from the Biden administration, and ditto from Kamala Harris, because we don't even know who she is. We don't know who she is, where she been at, how she faring. I heard that she over there in Hawaii. I could be absolutely wrong. All we keep seeing is different reports that's coming out. And it's funny because all of these people, they were so visible during the election season, but they're completely ghosts. Completely ghosts. After November 4th, we seen her pop out a couple times. We want to give a speech over the donors and say, hey, man, stay on board. We want you to still be a part of the Democratic Party. Thank you for supporting us. And another one, a drunk live stream that she did to thank her supporters. Other than that, you don't see nothing. Other than that, you don't see anything. These last 2 months has just been chaos. Wars, hacks, new laws, 50 new laws signed in the space, unions being protected, work from home, all of this stuff. Man, you see what's happening.